and why WrestleMania 32 killed my wrestling spirit. Okay, so going into WrestleMania 32, it was like a year of just horrible television. I think it was the worst year in wrestling history. No exaggeration. It was worse than In Your House era, worse than Ruthless Aggression era with Cena on top. This was the worst year I've ever seen. I don't, every match with Cena doing the open challenge, totally predictable. So, although people kept praising it at the time, looking back on it, did you ever really think that Zack Ryder was going to beat Cena? Did you ever really think that Dolph Ziggler or Cody Rhodes, Stardust, was going to beat Cena? I never did. They even had guys do their debut match against the guy, and they still lost. How often do you see somebody do a debut match and they lose? I'm referring to Sami Zayn. The guy lost in his debut. It was just horrible to me. And then they would do a match with Cesaro, and then they would do it again. And they would do a match with Cena and Owens, and they would do it again, and they would do it again, and they would do it again. It was just horrible. And we had the Authority doing their opening promo, if you could say, if you could even call it a promo. They would do their opening promo for like 20 minutes. If it wasn't them, it was Seth Rollins doing it. I like Seth Rollins, but his promos were always the same, and just everything that was going on with the Divas matches. It wasn't even like a minute long Divas matches with Paige, and just all of it was just really bad. I liked the occasional segment with Kevin Owens powerbombing and Machine Gun Kelly off the stage. That was pretty good. Yeah, but it was just little things. And for a 3 hour show on Mondays, 2 hours on SmackDown, for those of you who watch Superstars or Main Event, it was just too long, too much garbage. If they trimmed it all down to 1 hour, it would have been a little better, but it still would not have been good television. And this went on for just about a year. I would say the starting point for when it got bad was when Daniel Bryan got injured, because for me, he's my favorite wrestler on the roster at that time. And when he left, he just came back, and now he's gone again. It's like, ah. And we had to deal with the rise of Roman Reigns, having them shove Roman down our throats. It was just really bad. So WrestleMania 32 was like a little bit of hope for me, because WrestleMania is usually good. Cena was not going to be there because he was injured. We all know that didn't happen. But, there was promising things going on. It looked to me like Sami Zayn was going to win the Intercontinental title, and it was going to be him versus Owens, which was, it was supposed to be one-on-one in the beginning. And that was supposed to be like this amazing match, because I've seen them wrestle before on the indies, and they've had some great matches. Of course, Sami Zayn was El Generico back then. He had some great matches, and even though he's a different character, he's still the same wrestler. Added on to the fact that this is WrestleMania, their biggest stage, probably by most people's opinion. Of course, the match probably wasn't going to be as good as some of their matches in the indies, but it still was going to have that shine to it that made it look or seem like it was going to be really good. Let's see. I had hope for the Divas match because I thought Sasha Banks was going to win the women's title, and I would like to see her as the women's champion. So I was looking forward to those two things. Seeing The Undertaker wrestle Shane in their, what was it, like a retirement match. If Undertaker loses, Shane gets to be the manager or own Raw or own WWE. If he wins, that either way, that was going to be interesting. Let's see, we had AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho. See, I'm just trying to remember this offhand. It was AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho. AJ, he's a TNA guy. He's the TNA guy. I don't care what people say if it's Sting. Sting is not the TNA guy. Sting was the WCW guy. It wasn't Angle. It was AJ. AJ was there from day one. AJ was the TNA guy. To see him now at WrestleMania, he deserved it. And I wanted to see WWE give him some recognition for that. There were rumors of Stone Cold wrestling in Texas because they were saying if he doesn't wrestle here, he's not ever going to wrestle again. And even though he was denying that he was ever going to come, it seemed like they were going to, do a surprise entrance. So I was hoping that he would come. I didn't really care much for the Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose match. I think for most of us, we realized that Dean is never going to be a main eventer. It was shocking for me that Rollins even became a main eventer like he is today. But the way they've treated Ambrose already, I don't see him ever becoming a main event guy. He'll win the title, yeah, sure, maybe. But he will never be the guy. He'll never be one of the guys. He will just be a mid-carder to upper mid-carder. But who knows, maybe things could change. But at the time, this is how I felt. So I didn't see any chance of him beating Lesnar. After all, Lesnar beat Undertaker. Lesnar beat Cena. Dean is not going to beat the guy who beat Cena and the guy who beat Undertaker. It's not happening. I never thought it would. The other match, of course, it was Triple H versus Roman. I had no excitement for this match, but I did have a little excitement for what was going to happen around the match. I expected the fans were just going to boo constantly. I expected them to chant, "You both suck. We want refunds. This is boring." I expected tons of those. We didn't get them. But this is what I expected, and I had high hopes. Let me think back on another match during that card. I think it was New Day versus somebody. New Day in the League of Nations, I think. I had zero excitement for that match, but I thought New Day was going to win. They've carried the tag team division this year. That goes to show you how bad the year was, that the New Day is carrying the division, right? What was another match? I think there was another women's match in there. I didn't really care. I think it was Total Divas versus everybody else, right? Everybody else who wasn't a Total Diva, the Total Diva is going to face them. I was excited for the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I shouldn't have been, but I was. I thought they were going to make a new guy, because what an opportunity. If you're going to do this Battle Royal, why don't you bring up a guy from NXT, make the guy a star, or make him at least a mid-carder. At least just introduce him in a cool way. I was sure it was going to be Finn Balor, because right before WrestleMania it was going to be Takeover Dallas. I figured Samoa Joe was going to beat him, and then he was going to debut at the Battle Royale and win. Because what a cool entrance that would have been, to see Finn Balor do his entrance at WrestleMania, the biggest stage ever, biggest crowd ever, the record-breaking crowd, bigger than WrestleMania 3. That would have been cool. Instead, that wasn't what happened either. So I had high hopes going into this. I shouldn't have, but I had high hopes. I left out Ryback versus Kalisto. I thought Kalisto would at least do some cool moves. I did not expect Ryback to win, because Ryback really never wins at Mania. So I expected Kalisto to win. Alright, so going into the match, I had just gotten home from Shanghai. I was living in Shanghai. I had just come home. I was about 3 weeks late to watch WrestleMania, because I was with my girlfriend's family, and they were traveling, and so I didn't really have a chance to watch it. I wanted to just sit down and watch it. I didn't want to watch it at a hotel or on a tablet or an iPhone. I wanted to sit down in my old room on my nice sofa. Well, actually, I have like a big sack. I wanted to sit down, be comfortable, have something to eat, really just spend the day watching WrestleMania, giving it my full attention, no buffering, just good. So I got home. I also made sure not to see any spoilers. I didn't even go on the internet really for those few weeks. I watched the first match. So far so good. Kalisto wins. It wasn't a good match, but who cares? It was like the pre-show. I don't really care. The next match was a surprise. It was like the Dudleys versus the Usos. Yeah. I thought the Dudleys would win, because it would have been nice. Well, who am I kidding? I thought the Usos would win, but I wanted the Dudleys to win. But I thought someone would at least go through a table because it's WrestleMania. And I know that they were trying to go big this year. Uh, I believe the Dudleys went through a table doing this double splash spot. I didn't care for it. I don't think most people did. I didn't like that match, but I don't expect to like every match at WrestleMania. So I always have that in my head that I'm not going to like everything. Uh, then it was the Divas Battle Royale, or what was it? Like Divas Giant Tag Match. I didn't care for any of it. I just wanted to see Lana do her debut wrestling. She was okay. She did like a cool bicycle kick. Uh, Brie Bella got the win with the Daniel Bryan yes lock. I thought that was nice of WWE to at least let her do that and have the fans have a little bit of Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. I feel like maybe WWE wanted Daniel Bryan to make an appearance, but I remember him saying that he wanted to take a break, so maybe he turned it down. I don't know. So then the WrestleMania officially started, and it was a ladder match. I forgot to touch on this before. That change, making it a ladder match, I hated it. I wanted to see Owens versus Sami Zayn. I think a lot of hardcore wrestling they wanted to see that. Most hardcore wrestling fans wanted to see that match. They didn't get it. I think this was WWE just wanted to throw in all their other, all their other guys like Ziggler. I think Neville was supposed to be in that match, but he got injured right before WrestleMania when he was fighting Jericho with that nasty ankle. He rolled his ankle. You could see it. They even showed on television. You could see it. He was definitely not going to be at Mania. So that was disappointing. So let's see. There was Stardust. There was Ryder. There was Sin Cara, which, when you think about it, why is it that Sin Cara got the main roster match for the Intercontinental title, and then Kalisto, who's the champion and the better wrestler, gets the pre-show, which nobody even really watched, because most people in the audience weren't even there yet. I'm sorry, most people who were arriving did not arrive yet, so the arena was mostly empty. I remember people giving me pictures and videos on Twitter, and the place was completely empty. So that must have been a little bit upsetting. Anyways, so we have this big giant ladder match with all these guys in it. You only really expect that Zayn, Owens, or Ziggler actually had a chance at winning. And instead they go with Zack Ryder. I believe they only did this because they wanted to have people shocked and surprised, which at the time is cool, I guess, if you're there and you like Zack Ryder. But when you look back on WrestleMania, you see this guy won, and then the next night, he loses it. By the way, I didn't watch the next night. But the next night, he loses it. So I was right not to watch it. He loses it the next night. So what was the point of giving it to him? Why take it off of Owens? Why not give it to Sami Zayn and make the guy a star? Nah. We're going to go with the surprise pop instead. I'm not saying Zack Ryder didn't deserve it, because the guy's been there a long time. But let's face it, they gave it to him just so he could have that surprise moment. And then they gave it to The Miz. So why not just give it to The Miz then? At least have a heel win, piss people off, and there's reason behind it, instead of just giving it to a guy just because. And then the next match, gosh, I don't remember the order, so I'll just move on to what I remember. I remember it was Jericho Styles, and I think 9 out of 10 people expected Styles to win because this was his debut pay-per-view other than Royal Rumble, but you knew he wasn't going to win. So this was his debut singles wrestling match at a pay-per-view. And he loses. Why did he lose? He needed this victory. Jericho wins. I didn't understand it. At this point, I was pretty upset. Not upset as when, like, for example, like when Taker lost at WrestleMania 30. I didn't have the steam taken out of me like that. But here I was just like, I can't believe they did that. This is just horrible. No matter what happens if AJ becomes a champion next year, or if AJ gets a great 2016, he lost at WrestleMania. He lost at his first WrestleMania. It was like when Sting lost. They lose at their first WrestleMania. It hurts them. It really hurts them. Just like if they were to win, it would help them. Just as much so, I think it hurts them. It made it look like TNA was like the small times, which they weren't. TNA had some awesome wrestling, and they still do. So, also consider AJ is among the top 5 greatest wrestlers on the planet. I don't know all the greatest wrestlers on the planet. I don't know every single wrestler, but I would say he deserves to be in the top 5. And to have him lose to Jericho, who's a veteran, who's already at the stage in his career where he should be putting people over, I really didn't like that. And at this point, I was pretty upset. And yeah, like I said, I had the wind taken out of me. The wind taken out of my sails. Then I think it was did the New Day and it was the New Day and the League of Nations. I think this was that would make sense because it was like the match that people go to the bathroom for, I guess. So again, it started out nice. Seeing the New Day dress up as Dragon Ball Z guys, that was pretty funny. I mean, at first when I saw the big Booty-O's box, I was like, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna pop out of this, or are they just gonna walk by it with their trumpets and go, Booty-O's? But no, they came out of it and they were wearing Dragon Ball Z stuff. They were wearing the Saiyan outfits, Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz. They have those outfits in like the first season of Dragon Ball Z. So that was very cool. Being a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, it's my favorite anime of all time. I'll talk about that in another review. But being a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, I like that. I already wanted the New Day to win. I felt like they deserved it. They carried the division. They were the most entertaining tag team all year. Like them or hate them, they were at least entertaining. Say what you want about WWE racism or WWE stereotypes. It was at least entertaining. And they also had good matches. So I wanted to see them win. Also, the League of Nations, from day one, they just seemed like a team that was put together because they're all from different countries. So why not throw them together? I'm surprised they didn't throw in more people. Like, Yoshitatsu's not there, so I wouldn't say him. But I'm surprised they didn't throw in, like, Santino Marella because he's from Italy. Something like that. They were just throwing in people just because. Or maybe throw in Becky Lynch, because she's Scottish, I think, or Irish. I'm not sure. Sorry, I don't know which one she is, but yeah, throw her in because she's over there too, and maybe she could be Sheamus's female. Nope. I never liked them. Never saw them as a threat. I don't think anybody ever did. So I want to see New Day win. I kind of knew there were going to be shenanigans because there's 4 members of League of Nations, and there was only 3 New Day members. But when they lost, it's like, at this point, why? Why are you making these decisions? Is it because you want to do exactly the opposite of what people expect? Or do you just want people not to be happy? Or is it that you feel Sheamus is a big guy, Triple H and Vince like Sheamus, so let's just give it to Sheamus's team? I don't know. I don't know what the point of this was again. And so, again, I'm just like, what is this? I was watching WrestleMania with my friend and my girlfriend, and they don't even watch wrestling, and they were both like, what is this? So even non-fans could sense that this was a weird decision. And then they make a short promo of no 3 guys could beat us. And then the first was Shawn Michaels, which was cool because he's my favorite wrestler of all time. To see him come out, I liked it. He was looking jacked. I guess he's starting to work out again because last time I think we saw him, he was a lot thinner, flabby, but he looked good now. So to see him take off his shirt, I thought he was going to start wrestling. So I was like, oh, is this going to be a match? Because usually when guys come out and they make their surprise return, like I remember Hulk Hogan came out at WrestleMania 21. He just came in the ring and threw guys around, did his few moves, and then he's gone. He does his whole thing. And so I figured Shawn Michaels would just come out. Maybe he would cut a promo or be in Barrett's promo or something. Give Barrett a super kick because we all knew at this time Barrett was leaving. So usually when guys are leaving, they get their ass kicked out the door. So I figured he'd get super kicked, and then the New Day would come out and help HBK, and then HBK maybe would dance or do something with the New Day, which he did. So you kind of knew that was coming with HBK. He likes to dance. And then Mick Foley comes out, And I was thinking, huh? Mick Foley? He's not going to wrestle. And then Stone Cold comes out. You hear the glass shatters. Loudest pop of the night for sure. Uh, Unfortunately, he was wearing a t-shirt, so you pretty much knew that wasn't coming off. And because that wasn't coming off, you knew he probably wasn't going to be in a match. Bret Hart wore a t-shirt in a match, but I just didn't get the feeling Stone Cold was going to wrestle in a t-shirt. If he came out with his vest, then maybe he would be in a match, but no. So the three of them come down. The nostalgia acts, the old timers, back when wrestling was good, those guys, they come down and they stomp on the current roster. They beat up the young guys, kind of proving the young guys suck compared to old time, which I agree with in terms of their characters. In terms of their wrestling ability, I would say some of them could hang with those guys. Some of them are better. Guys like Neville or Pac, guys like Tyler Black or Seth Rollins. I know their ROH names better than their actual names, so if you ever hear me say one of those names, that's what I mean. Like Zayn, Bryan, those guys are better than the Attitude guys in terms of their wrestling ability, in terms of their charisma, talking ability, how they carry themselves. They are nothing compared to the old guys. They're nothing compared to many of the nostalgia acts. They're nothing compared to the Attitude Era, and even the pre-Attitude Era. So, to see the Attitude Era guys, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, Mankind, or Mick Foley, to see those guys come down, they beat the crap out of them. It's what everybody wanted to see. Also, I forget their name because they just don't matter. The League of Nations, that's right. So the League of Nations get their butt kicked. They are the heels, so it's okay. Nobody's really upset by this. They all do I think they all did their special finishing move to Barrett, which, like I said, they always like to kick the guy's ass when they're leaving. So I think Barrett eats a super kick first, and then somehow he's still on his feet, which needs to be commended because HBK has knocked out guys like John Cena, Triple H, Hulk Hogan, all these guys he has completely knocked out with that kick. So for Barrett to still be like, he's a tough guy just for that. And then he eats a Mr. Sacco. Mr. Sacco, I don't know how that would ever finish anybody off. How that would ever hurt the guy. All he's doing is putting his nasty sock in your mouth. If anything, it would give you more energy because you have a disgusting, overweight man's sweaty crotch sock in your mouth. I think Mick Foley puts his penis in that sock. I'm not sure. And then he eats a stunner. And so the nostalgia act of the night, they all do their little I forget who got the music. I think Stone Cold got his music after that. And then the New Day comes out, and again, the Attitude Era guys make the new era look like pussies, and they make them look like they're small time. They're nothing compared to them. That's what I think a lot of people took from that. And also, what's weird is that the New Day were kind of like the good guys in that match. So to see the good guys get stomped out and made a fool of like that, it was kind of strange. Again, like you would never see, for example, if Cena was in the ring. You would never see them make a fool out of Cena, and then they do their finishing move to Cena, and then they have their finishing music and do their whole thing on the top rope while Cena's on the ground. You would never see that. And so it was a little bit weird to be doing that. You have to think towards the future. And you want your current stars, your young guys, you want them to last into the future. So by doing this, you're showing that these guys are not good. So go back to the WWE network and watch when it was good. That's not the message you want to be sending, okay? But that's my opinion. What do I know? The next match, I think it was it the women's match? It might have been the women's match. No. It was that's right. It was the Dean Ambrose versus Lesnar match. Again, I didn't really expect Lesnar to lose. He didn't. but I expected a good match, and there was nothing really good about that match. It felt like a match you would see on a Raw main event or a network special. It was not a match that felt like it was at WrestleMania. There was no major spot. I thought there'd be some kind of killer spot. Maybe somebody goes through a flaming table. Somebody gets landed on thumbtacks because it's no holds barred. I thought at least Dean would take some thumbtacks because the guy was in CZW. He's done stuff like that before. So I figured that was coming. Also, he's got a t-shirt, so it doesn't hurt as much. Nope. None of that. I thought there'd be blood, at least. Because sometimes WWE will throw us a bone and give us some blood. Because he knows the hardcore fans get, really pissed off after a while. So I thought this was going to be our payoff. And we get some blood. Nope. Then it was the Divas match. Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Sasha Banks. I expected Sasha to win, especially after that entrance with her and Snoop Dogg, her cousin or her uncle? I don't remember. But anyways, he did that for her. I felt like he wouldn't do that for somebody who's going to lose. Also, Charlotte was already the Divas champion for a while. So I figured it made sense to give it to Sasha. Also, early in the night, I forgot to mention this, they decided to make it the women's title, which many people talked about. Lita says it's going to crown the first ever women's champion, women's WWE champion. No, because there were many women's champions before. Even if you go by WWE standards, you had Mickie James, you had Trish Stratus. I believe Lita was also a WWE champion. So no, it was not the first ever WWE champion. If they changed the name and made it WWE World Heavyweight Champion or WWE Female World Heavyweight Champion, WWE Female World Heavyweight Champion, then you'd be the first. But no, this was just a WWE champion of the females, WWE Women's Champion, sorry. Except it has a new title belt now. That's the only difference. And so for them to say that, I wonder if it was a mistake on Lita's part, or were they trying to rewrite history as they always do? I guess Moolah's, I don't even remember how many years she was champion, like 10 or something, more than 10 or something like that. I think it was more than 10. So let's just try to forget Moolah's title reign. Let's try to forget Trish's title reign and Lita's and just say whoever's tonight is the new WWE champion. Whatever. New WWE Women's Champion of this era, yes. Not ever. Okay. So, anyways. That added some more hype to the match that they're going to have. Finally, the women's division is back and the Divas division is no more, which is something that many people were happy to hear, myself included. Although I personally didn't expect, and I still don't expect, that the women's matches are going to get much more time or taken much more seriously. I'm not sure if I'm right. I haven't watched wrestling since WrestleMania, so I don't know. But I just feel like females in WWE are not going to get respect ever again like they did. Even, I think I don't even remember the women ever really getting that much respect during, except maybe the Ruthless Aggression era. Before that, you had the Attitude Era, where women did get TV time, but usually it was because of their looks, because of their bodies. It was like eye candy, and you're not going to see that today with PG television. So I don't ever see women really getting that back. I will say that AJ, for a time, she had a lot of attention when she was the Raw GM. She had those storylines with Daniel Bryan started out with, then it was CM Punk, it was Dolph Ziggler, Big E Langston, John Cena, of course, right? He has to get everything. Okay, so during the match was great. I always remember that spot that Sasha Banks kind of messed up on. I don't know if it was her fault. It might have been Charlotte and Sasha. It might have been Sasha and Becky. Maybe they didn't move back far enough. But this is the part of the match that I always remember. It's where Sasha did the sunset flip off the top rope, and she kind of completely missed. and then Sasha and Charlotte just kind of scooched back, and then she rolled them over. It was probably supposed to be very fluid. It wasn't. That could have been anybody's fault. I don't know if it was Sasha's fault or not. Anyways, other than that, everything was good. Everything was pretty crisp. They had some really great spots. When the match ended, I felt it was the best match of the night so far. Maybe the AJ Jericho match was around as good, but that I'm so biased because I wanted AJ to win, and for Jericho to win the match, I felt like the match was kind of ruined. Sorry, that's how I feel. So I felt the women's match was the best up until that point. The ladder match also was good, but in a different way. That ladder match was more of like a demolition, violence, amazing spots. This was a better wrestling match. More drama, emotion, suspension of disbelief. You had your highs and your lows. You had the commentary telling their stories. You had the opening promo with their stories. Knowing their history of being in NXT, they were 3 out of the 4 horsewomen. This was the best match so far. But, I wanted Sasha to win. I thought a lot of people wanted her to win. I thought it was a perfect opportunity for her to win. But these 3 women are so talented that any of them winning would have been fine by me. So I wasn't very upset with it. But I didn't understand the logic. Why have Charlotte win when she was already the champion? Sasha was the girl everybody wanted to win. The audience was behind her. Everybody was pretty much rooting for her. Why not just give her that moment? Make people, give them their satisfaction. Wrestling fans, they need their satisfaction. They have to put up with so much garbage. Especially this year. There's a lot of garbage. So for them not to get, or for Sasha and her fans not to get their moment, it was like, why? Is it because Charlotte is Ric Flair's daughter? Is it because Vince likes her body? Why? Sasha's been wrestling a lot longer than Charlotte. Why? Well, whatever. Okay? Maybe it's because Sasha's too small, or Vince thinks she's ghetto. You know how Vince is. I don't know. So the next match was Hell in a Cell. Shane versus Undertaker. I did not expect Shane to win. I just felt like, why would he? But part of me was, how we all picture in our head what could happen. I expected maybe The Rock was going to come out because he said he had a big surprise for everybody. I thought maybe The Rock was going to come out and be like, I need to save this company, so he'll cost Undertaker the match. That was one scenario I had. Another scenario I had was just a whole clump or a whole group of the roster comes out and beats down Taker so Shane can win. That was another thing I had. Another scenario I had was maybe Undertaker would be like, I'm the last outlaw, but I want to make sure that this company sees the future and continues tomorrow. So I'm just going to cheat or have a disqualification of some kind or lay down so you can beat me. Something. I thought maybe Undertaker would just leave and just kind of forfeit, but in a cool way. Or like maybe he would lay down, let Shane win, and then beat the crap out of Shane and leave. I don't know. We all have imagination around this time, but that didn't happen. Undertaker beat him clean, which is fine because even if Shane won, even if Shane was the new owner of the company, smart fans and hardcore wrestling fans know that nothing behind the scenes is really going to change. He's just going to be like a GM or a guest or like a better way of saying it, he's a character in this show that owns the company. Just like in Lucha Underground, I forget his name, sorry, anyways, just like the owner in Lucha Underground, he's not really the owner. He's the on-screen character owner. Right, so even if Shane wins the match, I don't expect anything to actually change. I don't expect booking to change. I don't expect Cena to suddenly not be the guy anymore. I don't expect any changes. So I really didn't care if Shane wins or not, because nothing was going to change. So But I did expect a cool spot because that's Shane. But I thought maybe he's a little bit old by now, so maybe he's not going to do any kind of crazy spots. Nope, he did. He went through the table from Hell in a Cell. That was very cool. Too bad Michael Cole screwed it up. I think he's like, for the love of mankind! But when he said it, he looked at a paper. So I guess somebody in the back told him, JR said, my God, he's broken in half. So we want you to say, for the love of mankind! And it sounded so dumb, and he totally ruined that. Now, if JR was there, or even if Jerry the King Lawler, yes, Jerry the King, anybody else, even Byron, I think, would have done a better. JBL, no. But Byron, I think, could have done a better moment than Michael Cole's for the love of mankind. It just sounded so unnatural and cheesy. If he was like, holy shit, that'd be cool. But it wouldn't happen. So, that was a cool ending. Undertaker wins clean. I'm fine with that. And then the main event. No. Now we go to the next part of the show that really. This was another big reason why I stopped watching. AJ Styles Jericho, that took about a third of the wind out of my sails. This part took the next 2/3 out of my sails. And then the final took another 1/3 out of my sails. That didn't make sense. Each of these matches, these three, took the wind out of my sails. It was Jericho, AJ. It was this whole thing with The Rock, and it was the main event. Alright, so this thing with The Rock, he comes out, blow torches. Whenever The Rock comes out at Mania, I kind of stop paying attention because his opening lasts like 5 or 10 minutes, and then he just stands there for another 5 minutes, just going like. He looks like he's about to start talking. The audience starts chanting. He stops, waits, and it just goes on forever. And so I'm always like, oh, this is too long. This is going on too long. So he makes his whole spiel. WrestleMania 32 set a new record. You knew it was gonna, because that's what they wanted to do. Even if they didn't have 100,000 people in the arena, you bet they were still gonna say that they did. So. Or actually, I'm not sure if they actually said they went to 100,000, because I wasn't really watching. But I know they said that they broke the record. Sure you did. How that came, I don't know, because this was the worst year of wrestling. How they broke a record, I don't know. Maybe it was just the right arena. Maybe it was just the right marketing. Regardless, The Rock says that they broke the record. And Bray Wyatt comes out. And I was glad, because up until this point, I was like, where's Bray Wyatt? I forgot the Memorial Battle Royale, but Bray Wyatt was not in the Memorial Battle Royale, so I was like, at this point, where's Bray Wyatt? Why is he not here? So he comes out, he starts talking to The Rock. I knew already at this point The Rock was going to make a fool out of him because The Rock does not lose at Mania, except unless it's with John Cena. So there's nobody that's going to beat The Rock at WrestleMania at this point, or maybe there's really nobody who's going to ever beat The Rock at this point because he's such a big star, and WWE doesn't let their big stars lose like Cena. So I knew Bray was going to be made a fool of. So he comes down, and it was even worse than that. The Rock, he pulls off his clothes, and just one shoop, just like in Bruce Almighty, where he goes shoop, his clothes just come off. That's what The Rock did. He just tore off all his clothes, and there's a match going on. So I thought at this moment, is Bray Wyatt going to fight The Rock? That's pretty good. I mean, Bray Wyatt fought The Undertaker last year, and then he fought Cena before that. It makes sense he would fight The Rock. No, Eric Rowan fights The Rock. Also, Luke Harper wasn't there. I never understood why he wasn't there. I mean, if the guy was injured, he could still hobble down to the ring. He could still, I don't know if he hurt his ankle or he hurt himself or whatever. He could probably still walk down to the ring as long as he didn't break his spine or his neck. He still could have walked down to the ring. He wasn't there. So that was a little bit strange. And I was like, where's Luke Harper? But no, he fights Eric Rowan, the worst. I wouldn't say the worst member because there is no real worst member. It's all about your opinion. But also, you could say Braun Strowman is the worst. But to see Eric Rowan fight The Rock, I was like, The Rock's definitely going to win. But he wins instantly. He just picks him up, rock bottoms him, 1, 2, 3, record. Another record's broken. Just for the sake of doing it. That's what this whole WrestleMania was to this point. Doing it just for the sake of doing it, for that moment, having them have a cool moment, or some kind of surprise moment. It was just like when Sheamus kicked Daniel Bryan's head off at WrestleMania, I think it was 28. It was just doing things for the sake of doing things. Ugh. I hate it when they do that. Because then there's no replayability. You watch it once, and then years later, you don't want to go back and watch it again. I want to go back and watch the triple threat match with Benoit, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. I want to go back and watch Lesnar or Angle. I want to go back and watch Hulk Hogan, yeah, I'd like to go back and watch Hulk Hogan Rock, even though it wasn't a great match. These are things I'd like to go back and watch. I'm not going to go back and watch The Rock squash Eric Rowan. I don't think really anybody is gonna. And then I think the Wyatt family started jumping The Rock, which you knew was going to happen. And then the worst happens. Instead of Seth Rollins coming out, instead of Sting coming out, which I thought he was gonna, because to see Bray Wyatt and Sting have a face-off at Mania, even if they're not going to wrestle, just have them have a face-off would be cool. But no, it's John Cena. The worst wrestler, in my opinion. Not because he's the worst in-ring wrestler, just because I'm so sick and tired of the character. So I'll talk about that in another video, trust me. To see Cena's come down, squashes the Wyatt family for like the 100th time. He makes the whole Wyatt family his bitch every time. Every time that he touches them, they're his bitch. So to see Cena back was like sickening, and to see him squash one of my favorite stables, my favorite stable in WWE, Bray Wyatt also being in my top 3 favorite WWE wrestlers. So to see him do that to them took the wind out of my sails again. Because I felt like, how does he come back from this? How do you come back from this? He got buried by Cena, figuratively and literally. And then he comes back a little bit by having that whole feud or program with Jericho. And then he gets squashed by Cena again. And then I think he got beaten by Roman. I would say he got buried, but he got beaten for sure by Roman. Clean. And so now he's beaten again. It's like, how do you take this guy seriously? Oh, he also lost to Taker last year. How do you take this guy seriously when he's always losing? He's a great talker. He should be a star. He's like a modern-day Jake the Snake in terms of how he talks. But he's never winning. So I just don't see him ever coming back from this. And then it's the main event. Nope, sorry. It's, I'm sorry, I'm doing this all from memory, so I can't remember in the right order. But then it's the Battle Royale. Like I said earlier, I expected this to be Finn Balor's moment. If not Finn Balor, I expected the Wyatt family to rule this match. Because there's 4 of them. There's Bray, Strowman, Rowan, Harper. I expected maybe the 4 of them to just rule the Battle Royale and have it end with him doing follow the buzzards, right? Instead, it's Baron Corbin. Which he just lost to Austin Aries. So, to bring him up, he wins the Battle Royale. Not Cesaro. I know Cesaro was injured, but I thought maybe he would come back and be the King of Swing and be the only 2-time Battle Royale winner. But nope. I thought maybe Seth Rollins would make it back and have his surprise, because after all, Cena was injured and he came back. So I thought maybe, hey, if Rollins is injured, maybe he can come back. Nope. And then I thought maybe it'll be Sandow. And today, Sandow's fired. So, knowing today, I knew that wasn't going to happen. But back then, I thought maybe. Shaquille O'Neal came out. Did not think he was going to win. I don't think anybody thought he was going to win. But the second he hit the ring, I knew him and Big Show were going to have a stare down. I knew the second Big Show did that whole choke thing to him, I knew he was going to go right back like they did back in 2008, 2009. They did that same thing already. Back when they had him as the guest host. I think he was like the second guest host. So that was dumb. They dumped them out of the ring. Good. Um, and DDP was in there, which was pretty cool. DDP in WCW, like I said in the other video, he was one of my favorite WCW wrestlers. I was crazy about the guy for a time. I bought his DVD. I bought action figures of him. I had a poster of him on the wall doing this. I had one of the DDP Bash and Brawlers. If you guys, children of the 90s, if you remember the Bash and Brawlers, they were basically these stuffed animals that you could wrestle, and they have a voice box in them, and you smash them, and they'll be like, ah! Right? Those are pretty cool. Feel the bang! That's another one he would say, the Bash and Brawler. So yeah, I was a big fan of DDP. He's old now. I do his DDP yoga all the time. So it was cool seeing him in there. While he was in there, I was just like, let's see how well a 60-something-year-old man who does yoga can perform on the WWE level. And I was interested in seeing if he would take a bump. He did diamond cutters, which was cool. For a 60-something-year-old man to do a diamond cutter, that shows you're pretty athletic. And then when he got thrown out, as he was getting thrown out, I was like, oh man, don't hurt your knees, or don't hurt your ankle, or don't hurt something, because even a 20-something-year-old in their prime could really hurt themselves doing this. We all remember how Cena got flung out of the Royal Rumble, and it looked like he almost popped his knee out. So DDP took that well, so I was like, wow, good for him. I did, part of me thought Jake the Snake would come out, because Jake, in the documentary, he was saying, the revival of Jake the Snake, he was saying that his dream was to fight in a Royal Rumble. And I thought it would be even better if he came out during WrestleMania. Both would have been good, I guess. Yeah, maybe both would have been just as good. So that would have been cool. But DDP was in there. So for you to have DDP and Jake the Snake, boom. They're these brothers, right? They're helping each other. Maybe they could dump everybody out and just hug or do something cheesy like that. The fans would have loved that. But no, there were no moments. It was just everybody loses and Baron Corbin wins. And for most people, all the little kids, they're probably like, who? Who's this guy? This is like Roman Reigns meets CM Punk and they had a baby and they had Baron Corbin. Except I would actually say Roman is better than Baron Corbin, which really says something. So at this point, yeah, I'm just still like, this sucks. This WrestleMania sucks. At this point, I knew this WrestleMania sucks. Nothing compared to last year. Nothing compared to mid-30. This was the worst WrestleMania. Sorry, this was the worst WrestleMania I've ever seen. Honestly. I know the old ones didn't have great wrestling, but they had better stories. They had better booking. The audience was more into them. There was the magic because I was young, and I didn't know it was fake back when I was young. Still, the memory is there. This is the worst ever. And then we have the Triple H versus Roman Reigns match. I expect, like I said before, I had expectations, not for the match, but how the audience was going to react to it. I thought they were going to eat Roman alive, just boo everything he does, which they did, kind of, but it wasn't as loud as you'd think. I thought they'd be cheering, you can't wrestle, this match sucks, you both suck, we want our money back, this is bullshit, things like that. They didn't really. It wasn't as bad as I thought. I know WWE did their damnedest to edit the crowd noise, like they always do, especially these days. It used to just be SmackDown, but now they're doing it on Raw. If you have to edit the crowd noise, I'm going to talk more about this later in other videos, but if you have to edit crowd noise, that's your wake-up call and saying, maybe this is not the guy that we want to push for the next 10 years. At least in the beginning, Cena didn't get booed. They didn't have to edit his crowd noise. But this is the beginning. They should know now to see how Cena was. Don't push this guy. They do what they want, whatever. And this was proof. So we all knew Triple H was going to put him over. I don't think anybody thought Triple H was going to walk out the winner. We've already seen Triple H put him over numerous times against The Shield. So I had no expectation that Triple H was going to win. And the crowd did not crap on the match as much as I liked. And so the match went on way too long. It was like a half hour. I remember I was watching it with my girlfriend and my friend, and we were just talking about something else because this was just so boring. which completely lost interest. I went back and watched it again because I wanted to give it my full attention, and I thought, hey, maybe if I give it my full attention, it'll be better. It wasn't. It was worse than Triple H versus Cena. It was horrible. There was nothing good about it. So when the whole WrestleMania ended, there was no surprise at the end. There was nothing. I just completely just lost my energy. The next night, usually Raw after Mania is a good night. I didn't watch it, but I read up on what happened. And we had some guys come, like Uha Nation, what's his name? Apollo Crews. We had Baron Corbin. He was now back. But there was nothing really. I think Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy came also. But it wasn't enough to get me invested in wrestling. I know the season finale and the season premiere is, months ago. But to me, the season premiere is the Raw after Mania because everything builds up to Mania and then you have to start over. So to me, the season premiere is the Raw after Mania. And the Raw after Mania this year was bad. Not that it was the worst ever, but it gave me no reason to continue on another year of suffering, another year of 3 hours, just boredom, 20-minute promos over and over, recycled material, the same guys getting over, the same guys being crushed. I just did not have it in me to keep going with it. I will, because I've been watching it since I was a little kid. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to go back on the WWE Network and watch everything that I missed, but I just don't have it in me to do it yet. I still keep up with NXT. I watch NXT religiously. I really like NXT. NXT is the best right now. I'll make videos about that, of why I like NXT and why NXT is great. And even thanks to NXT, I don't have to watch WWE. NXT will have a quick commercial. Like right now, I just saw they had the commercial with the whole the Club. As we all know, the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club demonized by WWE and just shit on. So this is their product. So it's the Club versus Reigns, and we all know Reigns is gonna squash the Club. You could have the whole NWO versus Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns will win. You could have the whole Bullet Club versus Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns will win. That's their guy. And I know that's how this year is going to be. It's going to be Roman on top. That's their guy. And then I still have the return of John Cena to look forward to. So it's like I have no reason to continue watching this year. Maybe I'll start watching again when I hear Roman lost his title. Then I'll go back. I'll watch all these episodes, smile inside knowing, yeah, you're going to lose the title soon. Then that'll help me cope with this horrible programming. So, again, I won't watch WWE Raw until something good happens. And then I'll go back and watch it all, knowing inside that it's going to change soon. I hear that Shane's the owner, and what do you know? Nothing's changed. Just like probably most hardcore wrestling fans knew, nothing was going to change. It's a new era. No, it's not. Same guys are writing, same guys are booking. Stephanie McMahon is still making these horrible decisions. There's still no blood. It's still PG TV. Roman is still getting pushed. The audience still hates him. Nothing has changed except a few more guys have come. But we all know that these guys who are coming up, hopefully you know this by now, these AJ Styles, these The Club guys, Apollo Crews, Enzo Amore, Colin Cassidy, these guys are all going to get fed to John Cena. Yes, he's still going to destroy these guys. Still going to get fed to Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns is pretty much going to destroy everybody else who has not been destroyed yet, who Cena has destroyed. For the tag team division, they're going to be fed to the Usos. And they have, right? The Bullet Club lost to the Usos. So, you know it's just going to be the same stuff. Also, Seth Rollins just came back, which was good. But he is a heel. So again, we have Bitch Rollins. This guy who's going to lose to everybody. So why? What reason is there to watch? NXT is great. You have Nakamura there. I like Asuka a lot. You have Samoa Joe. He's the champion right now. All is good in NXT. But the thing about NXT is it's just temporary. NXT is the corridor. NXT is just the hallway that you walk to get to the main room, which is WWE. So all these guys, you're never going to see a guy who's been in NXT for 10 years. You're never going to see a guy who's been in NXT for 5 years. Sami Zayn has come close, but you're not going to see that again. If you're a star in NXT, you will go to the main roster, and then you will get fed to Cena. You will get fed to Reigns. This video is kind of losing its course, so I'll just end it here and say that is why I don't watch WWE main roster programming anymore. I will watch it again. You can see my background now. I have Hulk Hogan. He was, from when I started watching wrestling, he was the top guy. Fine with it. Austin was the top guy. Fine with it. They both lost occasionally. They lost clean occasionally. They weren't pushed like the two guys on this side, Cena and Reigns. They weren't pushed like them. The matches were still unpredictable, even though they were the guys. Today, every match that Cena's in, every match that Roman Reigns is in, 49 out of 50 matches you can predict. They might give you a shocking match, like with Owens, when Owens beats Cena, or they might give you a shocking match, like when Lesnar beats Cena. But otherwise, it's just going to be the same old stuff. And it's not worth it to me to put up with that, just for one night or one time where they lose. If I want to watch that, I can just go back and watch it on the WWE Network, or I can watch it on YouTube. Alright, so that's it for tonight. On the next episode, I will talk about why I don't like Cena. So, that should be good.